Hi everyone, I'm Marcia Hall, Gallery Director here at Bonfoy's, and I'd like to introduce you to Diane Pinchot, who is in our exhibition right now, which is called Cause for Environmental Change, and we're thrilled to have her pieces in the show. They really speak, they're very soulful pieces, and this is my favorite. So I'd love to have you talk a little bit about your work, Diane, to the audience, because we're thrilled to have them here. And just a little FYI, we did sell one already of the same shape, and this is a replacement piece. So we're thrilled to be able to have sold the piece to a collector here in town. So, Diane.
And I'm likewise very grateful to be able to show with a group of artists that are amazing, and also to show in this prestigious gallery of Bonfoy. It's just a life dream. Thank you very much. So I'd like to read my artist statement if it's okay, because it really does pull all those pieces together and gives the why of what I do. At every stage of my life as an artist, advocate, and teacher, I've been inspired by simple form and the beauty of the natural world. Now at this time of deep concern for the just takes place in the environment, once clear beauty now being degraded with woven bits and pieces of human waste and carelessness, I feel the urgency to create artwork that will speak of the consequences of actions that will weaken this beautiful web of life if changes are not made the way we live. Since childhood and as a young adult growing up in the 50s and 60s, experiencing the natural world caused me to search for opportunities to join as many organizations that would allow me to be immersed in the beauty of the environment. As an adult, my work brought me to a deeper understanding of what the word Matakioasin means, as used by my Lakota adopted and extended family. It means all our relations. This understanding has inspired me to rethink how I move through life in the beauty of all creation, no longer seeing the old growth forest as property or only as beauty to admire, but rather seeing all as in relationship with me, as part of the web of life, as my relative. The piece that you're sitting with there on your left-hand side is called North Winds. And behind that piece in the making was the idea of showing stark reality, stark contrast. And I think we don't often see what's happening in the world, such as the ice caps moving and melting and glaciers disappearing and all the changes of the landscape. But I wanted to bring it up close and personal to me and to everyone that in fact our landscape is changing. And so the white is the starkness, causes us to see the essence of the form, but through and cutting through the form is the inlaid mishima that is one line that is slowly disappearing into a jagged form, lifeless. And I think that's the reality that I'm feeling right now, that eventually species are being lost, and also our own species is literally in jeopardy as well. The earth will survive and continue to inspire whatever species is left, but we might not make it through if we don't change our ways. The piece on the other side of you is the piece that I did, the last piece. It just came right out of my studio and that other one sold. And this one is called Awakening to the New Landscape. And it's the latest work. It was the hardest work for me to do because I was listening to the news on the radio in my studio about all the fire that we were experiencing on the West Coast and the changes that are happening in huge acreages on the West Coast. And then the flooding too that we're experiencing here, even in Cleveland. And the changes that are taking place in the landscape because of those extreme weather patterns. And I'm realizing it's the possibility of all these changes that we need to become more aware of. In the middle of all this, though, I think we've become more aware of the beauty of the landscape and the beauty of the awakening that we're all having together, it's causing us to rally around and come together in solidarity to do something about the cause for environmental change. The last piece, which is upstairs, is called Earth Mandala. And Earth Mandala is about the walks I take in the morning. And literally what I do in the morning is go for a walk early. And I'm in Cleveland, so it's such a variety of things in the city. I see bits and pieces of beautiful leaves and stones on my path, but I also see in the past 5 years or so, things that are left behind, like bits and pieces of plastic or little buttons that have been torn off from some garbage heap from a clothing, or rusty nails from construction that's happening all around me right now, particularly. And so I've started to weave them together, those little bits and pieces, kind of like a wake up when you look at them, not fitting in the places where the beauty of the natural world is, and kind of like a little perk of, what do you mean a button in the middle of all that beauty? What do you mean a little plastic in the middle of all that? And so this is a way to just awaken us to see and to pick up garbage and to reclaim and to recycle and to help out the cause of all the things that are happening in a way that we've been careless. And so this is the piece about Earth Mandala. The process that I go through when I'm creating the work is around the process of dialogue, really. The dialogue between the material of clay and the dialogue of the technique of coil making. And the dialogue comes together with the concept that I have in the beginning. So I start off with a sketch, and I sketch throughout the whole process. So when it changes a bit, I go back to the sketchbook and create what I think is happening in assuming what I think might start to happen. And then I kind of put away the sketch and I begin to do a little prototype sometimes, if it's going to be a large piece. And in doing the larger piece, the prototype helps me to see how the structure will be more balanced, or how it might be working in one way or not another. And then I put all that away and I begin the process of building. And in the process of building now, the thing that I do the most is listen to the clay and what it's trying to tell me to do, because the clay will never lie. If I make a mistake, it'll crack. If I don't do what it wants to do, it'll fall apart. The structure won't hold. So I pay attention to that structural dialogue, what it's telling me to do. And then in the end, sometimes the things that I learn the most is when it doesn't work and when something does fall apart. And it teaches me something about a new little way to look at something, a new creative way. And oftentimes it's when these mistakes happen that a whole new series of body of work begins to come into existence. So one thing leads to the other, and then a body of work is born. I hope that helps you see my work in a way that will help you look at the work a little bit better. And thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity to speak and to talk about the work and to show the work.
Well, we're thrilled, as I said before, we're thrilled to have the pieces in the show. We've gotten a lot of wonderful comments on them. And really, quite frankly, the mandala that's upstairs in the gallery has gotten a lot of people's attention. And it's so wonderful to be able to hear how you found all these objects and how you put two and two together, create these fantastic pieces. They're really quite stunning and quite evoking.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Diane.